Chess is a very old game. It has been played for more than 1,000 years. Kings and queens, knights and scholars have all loved this game. It began in India a long time ago and traveled across the world. People in Persia, Europe, and everywhere else learned to play. They changed the rules a little bit over time. The game we play today is a modern version of that ancient contest. It is a game of skill, a battle of two minds. You do not need luck to win at chess. You only need to think and plan your moves carefully. It is a quiet war fought on a small board. The popularity of chess has never faded. It is famous because it is both simple and incredibly deep. Anyone can learn the basic moves in a short amount of time. But to become a master takes a lifetime of study. This is what makes it so special. It is a fun game to play with a friend or family member. It is also a serious sport, with big tournaments all over the world. Millions of people play chess every single day. They play in parks, in clubs, and on the internet. You are about to join this huge global family of chess players. Welcome to the wonderful world of chess. Why should you learn to play this amazing game? Chess is more than just a fun pastime. The chessboard is your battlefield. It is a square board made up of 64 smaller squares. These squares are arranged in an 8x8 grid. Half of the squares are light and the other half are dark. They alternate, creating a checkered pattern. You might see them as white and black, or maybe light brown and dark brown. The colors do not matter as much as the pattern. This pattern helps you see the lines and paths on the board. Before you start a game, you must place the board correctly. This is a very important first step. Always make sure there is a light-colored square in the bottom right corner for each player. A simple rhyme can help you remember this rule. White on the right. The board is divided into different areas. The horizontal rows are called ranks. There are 8 ranks, numbered 1 through 8. The vertical columns are called files. There are also 8 files, labeled with letters from A to H. You can think of it like a map grid. This system helps players describe where the pieces are moving. Also, look at the long lines of same-colored squares that run corner to corner. These are called diagonals. Some of your pieces will move along these diagonals. Understanding the ranks, files, and diagonals is key to seeing how your army can move across the battlefield. It is the landscape upon which your great battles will be fought. Take a moment to trace these lines with your finger. Now it is time to meet your soldiers. Each player starts the game with an army of 16 pieces. One army is white and the other is black. The two armies are identical. Each one has 1 king, 1 queen, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, and 8 pawns. Every piece is important and has a special role to play in the game. You must learn to use them all together as a team. A single piece cannot win the game on its own. It takes the combined effort of your entire army to achieve victory. Your job is to be the general of this army. Let's place your pieces on the board. The 2 long rows closest to you are where your army begins. The row right at the edge of the board is for your most important pieces. The 2 powerful rooks go in the corners. Rooks look like the towers of a castle. Next to the rooks on each side you place your knights. The knights often look like horses. Then next to the knights, you place the bishops. Bishops usually have a small slit cut into their tops. You are now left with 2 empty squares in the middle of your back row. These are for the most powerful pieces of all. The final 2 pieces for your back row are the king and queen. They are the leaders of your army. The queen is the most powerful piece, so she gets her own color. The white queen always starts on a white square, and the black queen always starts on a black square. A simple way to remember this is the queen matches her dress. Once the queen is in place, the king goes on the last empty square right beside her. Your back rank is now complete with rooks, knights, bishops, the queen, and the king. They are ready to lead the charge and defend your territory. In front of your main pieces you have a line of pawns. You have 8 pawns in total. They form a protective wall for your more valuable pieces behind them. Place 1 pawn on every square of the second row, directly in front of your other pieces. Your opponent will do the exact same thing on their side of the board. Now both armies are set up and facing each other. The white army is on one side and the black army is on the other. You are looking at the starting position for every single game of chess. The silent armies are ready for the first command. Each piece in your chess army moves in its own unique way. Understanding these movements is the most important part of learning chess. Let's start with the pawn. The pawn is the foot soldier of your army. On its very first move, a pawn can choose to move forward either 1 square or 2 squares. After that first move, it can only move forward 1 square at a time. Pawns are strange because they move forward but capture diagonally. If an enemy piece is 1 square diagonally in front of a pawn, The pawn can capture it and move to that square. Pawns can never move backward. Next, let's look at the rook. The rook is a very powerful piece. It looks like a castle tower. The rook can move any number of empty squares, but only in a straight line. It can go forward, backward, left, or right. Think of it moving in a plus sign shape. As long as its path is clear, a rook can slide from one end of the board to the other in a single move. If an enemy piece is in its way, the rook can capture it by landing on its square. Rooks are most powerful on an open board where they have lots of room to move around. The knight is the trickiest piece in chess. It is the only piece that can jump over other pieces, both friendly and enemy. The knight moves in an L shape. This means it moves 2 squares in one direction, forward, backward, left or right, and then 1 square at a right angle. Imagine it moving 2 squares up and 1 square to the side, or 2 squares to the side and 1 square down. From the center of the board, a knight can move to 8 different squares. Because it can jump, it is very good at surprising your opponent and attacking from unexpected angles. The bishop moves along the diagonals. Remember those long lines of same-colored squares? That is the bishop's highway. Each player starts with 2 bishops. One bishop starts on a light square and can only ever move on light-colored diagonals. The other bishop starts on a dark square and is stuck on the dark-colored diagonals. Like the rook, a bishop can move any number of empty squares in a single turn. It captures an enemy piece by landing on its square. Bishops are strong when they work together, covering both light and dark squares across the board. They are excellent for long-range attacks. The queen is the most powerful piece on the entire board. She is so valuable because she combines the powers of a rook and a bishop. The queen can move any number of empty squares in any straight line. This means she can move forward, backward, sideways, and diagonally. She is like a super piece. A queen can control a huge part of the board from a single square. She can attack from far away and defend your king with ease. Because she is so powerful, you must be very careful with her. Losing your queen early in the game can make it very difficult to win. The king is the most important piece, but he is not the most powerful. The entire game of chess revolves around the king's safety. If you lose your king, you lose the game. The king can move 1 square in any direction. He can move 1 square forward, backward, sideways, or diagonally. He is a slow and vulnerable piece, so you must protect him at all times. The king also has a special move called castling, which we will not cover just yet, but it is a special defensive move. For now, just remember to keep your king safe from enemy attacks. The main goal of chess is to capture the enemy king. This is called checkmate, but before you get to checkmate, you often put the king in check. Check is a warning that the king is under attack. If your piece moves into a position where it could capture the enemy king on the next turn, you say check. The opponent must then get their king out of check immediately. They have 3 ways to do this. They can move the king to a safe square, they can block the check by placing another piece in the way, or they can capture the piece that is giving the check. If a player is in check and cannot make any of these 3 moves to get their king to safety, that is checkmate. The game is over. The player who delivered the checkmate wins the game. It does not matter how many pieces are left on the board. Once a king is trapped in checkmate, nothing else matters. Sometimes a game can end in a draw, which is called a stalemate. This happens when a player is not in check, but they have no legal moves they can make. In a stalemate, nobody wins, and nobody loses. But your main goal is always to hunt down the enemy king. Okay, so the beginning of the chess game is called the opening. What you do in the first few moves is actually very important since it sets the stage for the rest of the game. A good opening will help you develop your pieces and control the board. As a beginner, you do not need to memorize long and complicated opening sequences. Instead, you should focus on a few simple principles. Your goal in the opening is to get your pieces off their starting squares and into active positions. You want to prepare your army for the battle that is about to begin. Don't just move pieces without a reason. One of the most popular and reliable openings for beginners is called the king's pawn opening. This starts by moving the pawn in front of your king forward 2 squares. If you are playing with the white pieces, this move is called e4. This is a fantastic first move for several reasons. It immediately puts a pawn in the center of the board, which is very important. It also opens up lines for your queen and one of your bishops. This means they are now free to move out from the back rank. This one simple move does 2 very important things at once. After you play e4, your opponent will likely respond by moving their king's pawn forward 2 squares as well. This is the move e5. Now you have a symmetrical position. Your next goal should be to develop your knights. The knights are great pieces to bring out early because they can jump over your pawns. A good move is to bring the knight on the king's side out to the square f3. This move, knight to f3, attacks your opponent's pawn on a 5. It also moves your knight closer to the center of the board, where it can be more effective. A good plan for the first few moves is to follow these steps. First, move a center pawn, your king's pawn or queen's pawn, forward 2 squares. Second, develop your knights by moving them towards the center. Third, develop your bishops by moving them out from the back rank. Fourth, you should look for a chance to castle. Castling is a special move that gets your king to safety and brings your rook into the game. By following these simple steps, you will have a solid and safe position to start every game. You will be ready to face whatever your opponent throws at you. To win at chess, you need more than just knowing how the pieces move. You need a plan. This is called strategy. The most important strategy for a beginner to learn is to control the center of the board. The center consists of the 4 squares right in the middle, d4, e4, d5, and e5. Why is this area so important? Pieces that are in the center can control more of the board. A knight in the center can move to 8 squares. A knight in the corner can only move to 2. By placing your pieces and pawns in the center, you gain more power and flexibility. Another key strategy is to protect your king at all costs. Your king is your most precious piece. If your king is captured, you lose the game. At the beginning of the game, your king is stuck in the middle of the board. This can be a dangerous place once the game gets going. That is why castling is so important. Castling is a special move where your king moves 2 squares towards a rook and the rook jumps over the king to the next square. This tucks your king away safely in the corner behind a wall of pawns. You should try to castle early in the game, usually within the first 10 moves. You also need to think about the value of your pieces. Not all pieces are created equal. The queen is the most valuable piece, worth about 9 points. A rook is worth 5 points. Bishops and knights are both worth about 3 points each. Pawns are worth 1 point. The king's value is infinite because losing him means losing the game. You should always try to trade your pieces for enemy pieces of equal or greater value. For example, it is a good trade if you can capture your opponent's rook with your knight. It is a bad trade if you lose your queen for one of their pawns. Finally, always think about what your opponent is planning. Chess is a 2-player game. You are not just making your own moves in a vacuum. After your opponent makes a move, take a moment to ask yourself, why did they do that? Are they setting up an attack? Are they trying to win one of your pieces? Are they defending against a threat you made? By trying to understand your opponent's plan, you can find ways to stop it. Always be alert and look for threats. Before you make your own move, do a quick check to make sure your pieces are safe. Learning the rules is just the first step on a long and exciting journey. To get better at chess, the most important thing you can do is practice. Play as many games as you can. Play with your friends, your family, or find opponents online. Every game you play is a learning experience. Don't be afraid to lose. Losing is a natural part of learning. In fact, you often learn more from a game you lost than from a game you won. After a game is over, try to think about what you could have done differently. Where did you make a mistake? What was a good move your opponent made? A fantastic way to improve your skills is by solving chess puzzles. Chess puzzles are small, bite-sized positions from a real game. Your goal is usually to find the best move, which often leads to checkmate or winning a piece. These puzzles are sometimes called tactics. Tactics are short-term plans to gain an advantage. Solving puzzles helps you to recognize common patterns on the board. You will learn to spot opportunities to attack and win material. There are thousands of free chess puzzles available online and in books. Spending just 10 minutes a day on puzzles will make you a much stronger player. It can also be very helpful to watch and learn from stronger players. You can watch videos of chess masters explaining their games. You can watch live tournaments online and see how the best players in the world think. Pay attention to the openings they choose and the plans they make in the middle of the game. You do not need to understand everything they are doing. Just by watching, you will start to absorb new ideas and strategies. It is like learning a new language by listening to native speakers. You will pick up on the rhythm and flow of a well-played chess game. Do not try to learn everything all at once. Chess is a huge subject and it is easy to feel overwhelmed. Focus on improving one small thing at a time. Maybe one week you focus on not losing your pieces for free. The next week, you focus on trying to control the center. The week after that, you practice a specific opening. By taking small, manageable steps, you will see steady progress. Be patient with yourself. Every grandmaster was once a beginner just like you. They all had to learn how the knight moves and what checkmate means. Keep at it, and you will improve. Well, you have now learned the fundamental building blocks of chess. You know how to set up the board, how each piece moves, and the ultimate goal of checkmate. You have taken your first steps into a much larger world. This guide has given you the map and the compass, but the journey is yours to take. The real magic of chess happens when you start playing. Each game is a new story, waiting to be written by you and your opponent. It is a story of attack, defense, sacrifice, and triumph. The more you play, the more you will come to appreciate the beauty and depth of this ancient game. Remember that the goal is not just to win, the goal is to learn and have fun. Celebrate your good moves and learn from your mistakes. Enjoy the mental challenge of trying to outwit your opponent. Chess can be a wonderful way to connect with other people. It is a language spoken all over the world, crossing barriers of age and culture. A game of chess with a friend can be a quiet conversation, a shared experience without any words needed. So find someone to play with, share what you have learned, and invite them to join you on this adventure. Keep your curiosity alive. There is always something new to discover in chess. As you get better, you might want to learn about more advanced tactics like pins, forks, and skewers. You might want to study new openings or learn how to play the endgame when there are only a few pieces left on the board. The world of chess knowledge is vast and endless, but do not let that intimidate you. Think of it as an exciting library full of amazing books, and you can pick out whichever one interests you the most. The learning never has to stop. Most importantly, keep playing. Chess is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice. The more you play, the more the patterns will become second nature. You will start to see moves without even having to think about them. You will develop your own style and your own favorite strategies. The board will no longer be a confusing grid of 64 squares. It will be a familiar landscape full of possibilities. So, set up the pieces, find an opponent, and make your first move. Your chess journey has just begun. Good luck, and have fun.